Yeah, I can't be confused.
Well, it looks like we have a quorum.
We're voting to take off on
We have some technical difficulties that we're working through. Thank you for my many consultants. And my thanks for Matt for helping me put together my presentation today. I need all the help I can get, as many of you already know. And if you have questions along the way, feel free to ask. As some of you already know, I'm hard of hearing.
Telephone, you may dial an extension at any time. For a directory of extensions, press 4. Otherwise, please hold for an operator.
Okay, we're getting the other audio set up. Yes, a question from over here.
How do you move that camera so it's not just like posting right on me?
Well, I happen to have a tire iron under here. And I can...
Are you going to move it?
No, you're talking about that.
Oh, those need to stay there.
Oh, it's that?
No, it's that one up there.
Taylor Preston, did you hear about the new restaurant on the moon?
No.
Apparently the food's great, but there's no atmosphere. This is a serious presentation. This is
Trying to show support, you're gonna thank me. Oh my God.
They're waiting for the jokes. That's the good stuff. Good for nothing, I might add. I was the Astronomy Club president back at Canoe U. Some people call it the Naval Academy. We have some people from Brand X in the room, West Point. So at Canoe U, I was the, and it is. That's a 30 years younger version of me, and that's Beams on the right, Todd Beamer, and that's on top of Mitchell Hall. We had observatories, some other equipment stuff, so I really was the Astronomy Club president. So thus, I was going to say I'm an expert on the topic of the eclipse, but then I looked up the definition of expert, and apparently an X is a has-been, and a spurt is a drip under pressure. So I'll just say I know some things about it from my past experience at Canoe U, and a friend of mine here who visited on the aircraft carrier. He and I were friends. Fellow Naval Academy grad, that guy in the middle there, the short one. He's not famous because he graduated from Canoe U in 1951, nor because he went on to the Air Force to become a pilot. He was the test pilot for the YF-12A, which some folks may know is the precursor to the SR-71. He's not famous for that. He's famous for his 3-day vacation in 1971, going to the moon, and so that's that very same moon that 18 days from today is going to get in front of the sun. So I know a lot about these things. I've seen an annular eclipse, not quite the same as a total eclipse. So I'll go through some of the details of things that you need to know, some context, wide-ranging information, and then some narrow, nerdy information on occasion. This is where the eclipse is going to be for us folks in Middle Tennessee. You have the path of totality here. You'll hear that word a lot, and then the various time frames that it's going to go by. The shadow moves across the United States at about 2,000 miles an hour. If you've seen Chris Goldstrike, you know what that's like. So as it goes across there, it's important to see the neat effects and all the goodies, only if you're in the path of totality. So some folks, yes, question?
Yeah, so if you're anywhere within the dark circle, you'll see the totality.
Yes, anywhere really between these lines here. And the closer to the middle of the line, the longer it will be. Because as it's going across here, you have all this shadow distance. If you're up to the side, it's going to last a lot shorter period of time. I was at a birthday party this past weekend on Sunday. Some friends of ours from church were together. And one of my friends, my running buddy, he won't join us for the Spartan race, so I'll be angry about that. But he's a year older than me, so I understand. And so he was already at the airport going to his job. It was Sunday. And his missus and his 2 kids were there. We're at each other's homes pretty often. So I said, hey, Tara, so what y'all's plan for the eclipse? Well, I don't even know if the kids were out of school that day. And I just figured we'll watch it from the house. I'm like, okay. Dave the nerd knows your house. You're not going to see it from your house. Well, it's close. So if you're close, let's take a look at that. So there's another app out there, and this is John and Tara's house over in Franklin. They have a lovely home. This is Dave Ramsey's neighborhood. So it's a real lovely home, but you know, it's not in the path of totality. So a lot of folks that you may talk to, well, you know, we're going to be close. So we'll see most of it, right? No, you're not going to see squat. If you're close. Let's look at close. Close doesn't quite cut it in many circumstances. So this is one example, and I'm sorry I set some Titans fans back 3 weeks in therapy for bringing up this old memory here. But close doesn't cut it. It doesn't cut it for an eclipse either. Because if you're close for the eclipse, you can see the shadow of the moon. It's right down here. This view here is just outside, just like at John and Tara's house, just outside the path of totality. And look, the sun, it's converting hydrogen into helium and releasing lots of heat and energy. And you're not going to see squall. But if you're in the shadow, you have a completely different experience. You can see the details of the atmosphere of the sun. We'll go through that later. The corona. You'll be able to see prominences on the edge of the sun. You'll see Venus and the other bright planets and stars that are out. It's going to be like night right where you are for a couple of minutes with this bright sunlight all around the horizon is all it is, the moon's shadow moving across. It's a huge difference. So, some folks wonder, so why is it such a big deal anyway? Don't astronomy things happen all the time? Well, yes and no, but that's an HR answer. So, this is a 5-minute spiel on why it's a big deal, how it works, and some other contextual things like that.
The two sections of the shadow, the dark umbra and the partially shaded penumbra, their placement determines which type of eclipse we can see from Earth. But not all eclipses are made equal. The most spectacular, the one for your bucket list, is a total eclipse of the sun. A total solar eclipse begins as a partial eclipse. You'll notice trees projecting the crescent sun and shadows becoming sharper than normal. The landscape darkens to a bluish gray, and you'll start to feel the temperature drop. From the west, the moon's shadow rushes towards you like a silent storm. Look up, and you'll see the last sliver of the sun sparkling like a diamond ring before it's broken into a string of beads by the moon's rough terrain. Now you can see the pearly glow of the sun's corona and the pink and red light from the hydrogen gas of the chromosphere. Together, these make up the sun's outer atmosphere, and a total solar eclipse is the only occasion you have to lay eyes on it. This is totality, and if you get a chance to see it, you should. The moon orbits Earth every 29.5 days, but we don't get eclipses every month. That's because the moon's orbit isn't in line with Earth's orbit. It's tilted about 5 degrees. That doesn't seem like much, but keep in mind that the scale of the model we're showing to you is way off. If the Earth and moon are this size, the distance between them should be around 10 feet. At this distance, 5 degrees is enough to keep the moon's shadow off of Earth and the Earth's shadow off the moon most months. So why do we ever get eclipses? Because there are 2 points where the moon's orbit crosses the sun's plane, called nodes. And as the Earth moves along its annual orbit, those points line up with the sun about twice a year. As the moon passes between the sun and Earth at that time, we get a solar eclipse. And when it's behind Earth at that time, we get a lunar eclipse. There are a ton of orbital quirks that make predicting eclipses really complicated, but in general, we'll have a few solar and a few lunar eclipses of some sort every year. But you're more likely to see a total lunar eclipse in your lifetime than a total solar one. The totality of a lunar eclipse can last well over an hour, and it's viewable for anyone on the night side of Earth. The moon often turns red during a total lunar eclipse because our planet's atmosphere scatters the bluer wavelengths of light while the longer, redder wavelengths pass through. Or to put it another way, a total lunar eclipse projects all of the world's sunsets and sunrises onto the moon. Total solar eclipses seem much more rare because totality lasts just a few minutes, and although Earth gets a total solar eclipse every 18 months on average, each one is only viewable by less than 0.5% of Earth's surface. Eclipse chasers travel all over the world to put themselves in the path of that shadow. In a total solar eclipse, the moon precisely covers the sun from the vantage point of some place on Earth. This is possible because by coincidence, the sun and the moon appear to be about the same size in our sky. While the sun is 400 times bigger than the moon, it's also about 400 times farther away. But this alignment isn't constant. The moon has an elliptical orbit. Its size varies about 12% throughout the month. When it's closer to us, we can get total solar eclipses. but less than 30% of solar eclipses are total. More often, we get partial eclipses where the alignment is a bit off, or annular eclipses where the moon is too far away to fully block the sun, leaving a ring of sunlight around the moon. In the far future, Earth will only get annular and partial solar eclipses because our moon is moving further away. We know that because Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong left mirrors on the moon in 1969. Astronomers bounced lasers off those mirrors to measure the moon's distance, and that's how they found out that the moon is moving away from Earth by more than 3 centimeters per year. So in a billion years or so, whatever creatures live here will witness Earth's very last total solar eclipse.
On the radio on the screen, a fantastic total solar eclipse taken from the pictures above the clouds. This is just fantastic.
A lot of early civilizations feared eclipses. They were seen as an attack on the sun or moon by the forces of darkness. But now that we understand our place in space, eclipses are an occasion for awe and for gratitude. All over the galaxy, rocks are casting shadows on other rocks, but only here, as far as we know, is there someone to notice them.
So Dave, while that's loading, is the top of the parking garage going to be a great spot?
The top of the parking garage would actually be an ideal spot. If you got, I haven't checked the weather, but it's supposed to rain sometime, but about local time is 1:36 when it's going to be, so it's slightly past nearly straight overhead towards the west. So if you go outside at 1:36 today and look up, that's about where the sun's going to be on 18 days from today when it gets totally eclipsed. So that way you know if there's anything going to be in the top of the parking garage is a great place. I myself, the nerd, I'll be in Greenville, South Carolina at my brother's house. With some of my family and my extended family and my 84-year-old dad. He doesn't buy green bananas, so he lives out that way. Some people got that. And so I'm 53, and this will be my first, possibly only, total solar eclipse. Very likely to be his only one. So that's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be in the local area. We're going to use some nerd concepts in this video. First contact, second contact, third contact, and stuff. Basically what that means is as the moon moves in front of the sun, then there's different points at which things happen. And the big deal is, most of the time you keep your glasses on. Even when they're just a tiny little sliver of sun, that is a tiny little sliver of thermonuclear action that will fry your eyes. And if you're saying, well, it's such a tiny bit, see, I can look at it and it doesn't hurt. No, that's not good. That means there's a tiny little bit that's burning your retina. And you know when you have a flash bulb go off and then afterwards you see that dot out there in front of you, that dot's going to be there a long time. So make sure you wear your glasses when you're supposed to. This is the only part you've seen where the glasses come off, and it's really important. take your glasses off for these 2 minutes. It's really important, that diamond ring effect, where you have bright little glow of one area where the sun's still peeking through between the valleys, between two mountains. No, it's not cool to look at, because remember, that's going to burn your eyes. But not only that, those of you who hunt or whatnot, you know about dark adapting your eyes. If you look up at the diamond ring effect, then you're going to have that spot there, so when it goes to totality, you're not going to be able to see as much faint stuff right around the moon. So, yes, Joanne?
What if you don't take your glasses off the whole time because you're scared?
The
Just leave
question
them on.
was,
What are you gonna see?
what if you don't put your glasses on the whole time?
No, what if you don't
Oh, you
take your
leave them on?
glasses off the whole time? You leave them on the whole time. What will you see at this point? Because
Nothing.
you're
You
afraid.
won't see a thing.
You won't see
You won't see a
anything.
thing, because the sun has been completely blocked out. It's nighttime, where you're standing for 2 minutes. The stars and planets are coming out, just like nighttime, there's just glow, you won't see a thing. So you need not be afraid at this point. In fact, check your stopwatch, somebody will, and for at least a minute and a half at this building, possibly as long as a minute 45, it's going to be complete darkness. I myself am going to have my binoculars, because binoculars are best to do this. Because if you look through binoculars, you'll see the prominences around the edge and the details of the corona, the atmosphere, because the sun has a strong magnetic field and makes all these cool, detailed patterns in the corona, which you can never see except for doing a total solar eclipse. And I'm going to do that for about 15 seconds, and then we have passed my binoculars and then the results. Is there another question here?
What about other types of sunglasses?
You don't need sunglasses at this point. You're going to lose the view. This is the magic. This is the neat stuff to see. Another question that's often asked is, well, I don't want to spend $2 at Kroger to get these, so I'm just going to put on 2 sunglasses or 3. That doesn't have the right stuff to protect your eyes. So think of me, I was going to say I was stupid years ago. Some people say that's still current. But years ago, I delayed getting back surgery for a long time. I had herniated discs, all kinds of pain down my left leg. But I waited so long, when they finally fixed it, I had neuropathy on the back side of my leg, which I still do today. And if you're not a nerd, you don't know what that means. That means I can barely feel anything that touches the back of my left leg. Well, that's cool. You'll never have any pain. No, it's not cool, because I'm a nerd and I play disc golf. And sometimes somebody has a bad throw, and then I have to back into some weeds or something to make a throw. I have before backed into a barbed wire fence. And I was like, wow, there's like a stick or something back there. And I come out, my legs all bleeding, and it's a mess, and it takes days and days to heal. Well, no, it's not good to not feel anything. You wear multiple sunglasses, you might not feel any pain, so it won't hurt you, but it will harm you, because it will cause long-term damage. Yes?
Is it really apparent whenever it shifts from the diamond to the full total eclipse?
The question for those on the phone, is it readily apparent when it shifts from the diamond ring effect to luminous darkness? Yes, it is extremely abrupt, because in a moment, then things change from darkness to light to nighttime, and then you can see Venus and other stars and such. It's very abrupt. Yes.
The moment that it comes back from totality, you need to time that and not look at that, or the instant that it comes back, you need to look away.
I understand the question. Hey, when that light comes back on, Dave, those thermonuclear reactions, it's going to fry my eyes. Do I need to make sure I'm not looking at it at that moment? My answer on the record is, well, of course you need to look away. In real life, though, it's like that flash bulb. As soon as you see the flash bulb and it comes on for a moment, you're automatically going to look away, because it's going to be uncomfortable. And you'll hear that, remember that lecture from DQ telling you not to look at that part, and then you'll look away. Yes?
Are these polarized, or is it something else?
It's something else. This is the equivalent of number 14 welder's glass, for those of you who know about welding.
So we could get a lens cover for a camera. Would that?
No, that won't work.
That won't
work? It has
work?
to be certified. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Okay.
So are my glasses good or not? We'll get to that in a little bit.
I don't mean for me. I mean for the camera. Not for my eyes, but for a camera. How would you properly?
Oh, how do you
film
take
it?
good pictures of this?
Yeah.
I don't have that covered here, but if you go on YouTube and type in, how do I take good pictures of this clip for people that like?
So camera or phone, you need to be careful, right?
Say again?
With a camera or a phone, right?
Not really, doesn't matter. You'll either get good pictures or not, it won't fry. It won't fry it permanently. Just don't look through it. I should have been taking notes on how you did that the last time to get to the next slide.
Just click on the white part somewhere and
Oh, okay, like that.
Click.
Voila. Man, the answers, thank you. This is another projected image. This is another way to look at the eclipse. Actually, I think it's more cool. On the left, you have a very technical device located in most kitchens called a colander. It's strange spaghetti and such. Well, it has a bunch of little holes in it. So this is the pinhole projection equivalent. The colander has a bunch of holes in it. You just hold it out, look at the sidewalk down there. Us astronomer nerds, when we look under trees, we see circles. We see hundreds or thousands of pinhole projections of the sun on the ground. Actually, those are all circles. If you look at them closely next time, you'll see the circles. When there's a partial solar eclipse, this is what it looks like under the trees. This is what it looks like if you use a colander. And so when you look at those projected images, you'll know when you're starting to get close to totality, besides your watch and looking at the time. And it's underneath everything. All shadows cast little crescents for the hour before and the hour after the total solar eclipse. Something interesting to look at.
Yes.
Okay, we're getting into some nerdy stuff. There's some background information you'll need to know for the next part, and that is telescopic seeing. If you look through a telescope, especially in Tennessee in the summertime, the atmosphere is boiling, it's hot. And after the sun goes down, it still takes a long time for the atmosphere to settle down. So when you look at the moon, for example, through a telescope, especially at a low angle where you're looking through lots of atmosphere, for astronomer nerds, that's called seeing. Is the seeing good or is the seeing bad? And that is, how turbulent is the atmosphere? So as I activate the video mode, you can see as you look at the moon, it's like looking at it through a swimming pool, because it's like moving all the time. And that's because the atmosphere is all these gases at different temperatures and whatnot, different wind speeds. And so it has this swimming pool type effect look to it. You want that, Tim? And so there's another phenomenon some folks ask about sometimes, and that is there an opposite seeing effect just before and just after an eclipse? Any questions from the room about that?
Yeah, hey Dave, I got a question for you. Yeah. I've been thinking about this a little bit, and let's say you got like a 2,000-mile rock, and you put it in the middle of space, like between here and just kind of out there, between here and the sun, and there's just a little narrow piece of light that comes through like a laser. And it shines through 100,000 feet of turbulent summer atmosphere.
Like we were just talking about.
Is that what you're going to get?
In fact, it's the same thing, only different.
Wow.
Tim studies thermonuclear physics. And so, in fact, there is an effect that is very, very similar to seeing that you can only see before and after an eclipse. And when I say before and after, we're talking in 60 to 90 seconds on either side when you get that real thin crescent. Because this is a beautiful one happened in Indonesia last year. Okay, the view here is a fixed tripod video camera looking down at a white piece of paper. So wherever you're going to be, make sure you go to Kroger, get yourself a white cardboard piece, or better yet, just a white sheet, because then it's big, you'll be able to see it better. Something that's called shadow bands. If you're from the rural lands or not that sophisticated, let's say you work at Nickajack like Paul, you might call these shadow snakes. You'll hear people talk about the shadow snake. I hope Paul's in the line so I can. By the way, EEO's here, so if I haven't insulted anyone by the end of the presentation, there's time for questions. You can ask the questions so I can insult the person. Over here in Indonesia, this camera is coming down at the white cardboard piece. And over here you can see this concave mirror, so you can see the sun. See, it's still bright as can be, even though there's just a little bit of the sun. But as it gets closer, that narrow laser-like thermonuclear light that's coming from the sun is coming down through the turbulent atmosphere, parallel with the sun. You'll see, it's hard to see in this video, you see these shadow bands start to appear. And that's the turbulence in the atmosphere with the sun cutting through it, creating these shadow bands that are parallel with the crescent of the sun that still exists. And as soon as that moment happens, that Tater talked about, when the moon goes completely in front of the sun, then it's night. All those shadow bands disappear. So then for the approximately couple minutes, you watch totality and all of its neatness, and then we speed this up a bit, get to the other side of the eclipse, because when the moon moves around, so the sun appears once again, then again, parallel with that crescent part of the sun that starts to appear are these same shadow bands. This is the only time ever anybody gets to see shadow bands, because it is as Tim described, a laser-like thermonuclear reaction, super bright light shining through the atmosphere, starting to come out here at the top. So therefore we'll see the shadow bands come out basically parallel with that, sort of left to right in the video. And for about 60 to 90 seconds just before and just after a total eclipse, you can see these things. You can't see it on the grass. You won't see it on an asphalt driveway that's black. You can only see it if something's white, because that really gives the contrast a whole lot better to see these shadow bands that appear in a short period of time.
But you don't need anything other than a white surface.
All you need is a white surface. Whether it's a white piece of cardboard or just a white sheet in the house. If there's kids around, not your best white sheet. No way to play.
Glasses on or glasses off?
Glasses off, because you're not looking at the sun. You're looking
you're looking straight down.
You're just looking down at it.
Okay.
How can I be sure my Eclipse glasses are safe? Right here. That's the number to look for. Most of the Eclipse glasses that you buy, you'll see all this spider writing information. Even with my reading glasses, I can't see it. But right up here, ISO 12312-2. That means they're certified for solar viewing, especially if you have small kids. They'll really want to play with these because they're cool and neat. No, do not let kids play with these, because what can happen is they'll take them. Kids are. I have 7, so I know my older now, somewhat more responsible. But little kids, they're not as careful with these things. So they can scratch them up and stuff. You get a scratch or a pinhole in there, and you're looking through there at the sun, that's going to let some actual real sunlight in. And remember how the difference between hurt and harm? It won't hurt you while you're looking at the sun, but it can harm you. So make sure these things don't get damaged prior to the big day. Okay. What if it's cloudy? We don't like to talk about it. But solar eclipse is very weather dependent. So even if it's cloudy, you can gather with all your friends or whatnot, you can go to the NASA website right here at the top. You go to this page here, and they're going to have live streaming across the United States. They have places already set up. They have high altitude balloons, they have airplanes, they have all kinds of stuff set up above the clouds. If you're above the clouds, then you can see it. So it'd be a real bummer. You have to watch it on a screen on a computer. But at least, you know, if you do happen to go outside and it's cloudy, then you will see it abruptly turn tonight for about 2 minutes right here in Nashville. And so we try not to talk about the clouds because we don't want any. Okay, what if I missed this one? When's the next one in the United States? You know, this is a big deal. The last one occurred in the United States, happened right up in this area, cut across just like that, a little bit of the U.S., and that was 1979. Some of you weren't born yet. I was just a kid, and I lived way over here, and we didn't go watch it. So the next one that happens is 7 years from now, cutting up through Texas, through Indianapolis, New York, Maine, about 7 years from now. Questions, comments, curses, emotional outbursts? Yes?
Another comment on the glasses is that there are manufacturers abroad that have been putting the ISO number on the glasses. That doesn't make them safe, so be sure to buy an American brand. There's a list of them on NASA's website.
Excellent point. If you go to NASA's, for those on the phone who might not have heard the question, it's hey, a heads up, so you all know, some overseas people will just print whatever they want on their glasses to make it seem like it's safe, and really they're not. So look for who manufactured it, which is the secondary area here that's even harder to read. And if you go to NASA's website, or just Google safe Eclipse glasses, you get to the NASA website. On the NASA website, they will designate which manufacturers are certified to put these things on there, so you have truly, truly safe viewing of the eclipse. Thanks.
Well, by the way, I had ordered some on Monday, and 3 of the 4 certified sites are sold out. So if you're thinking of buying them,
You'll need to do that like right away, because us nerds did that some time ago because it's really popular now. So yeah, really, get a hold of them as soon as you can. Other questions?
Where can you get them locally?
Locally, I don't know.
Kroger.
Kroger is selling them. They are for sale at Kroger. So I guess I'm good.
Adventure Science Center.
Oh, Adventure, yeah, the Adventure Science Center just south of here. And you can also call them too.
Channel 5 and Logan Vision Center are giving them away free.
Free, Price is Right.
Give me something.
Absolutely.
Tater's wife works for
Other questions? Yes, Tim, another great question. I can't wait.
How'd they come up with the term shadow snakes if it only happens like once every 20, 30, 40 years?
I don't know. You have to ask Paul Weaver.
Okay.
He's the guy who comes up with that stuff. He's almost did that. Speaking of which, let me check this thing, because my battery is going. Sure enough, Tater sent in another one. Captain Kirk, what? Captain Kirk is walking through the Starship Enterprise, and he sees Spock walking out of the ladies' room. He says, Spock, what was your purpose in going in there? And Spock says, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
I'm not touching my phone. That's that.
And with that, I'll conclude my presentation. Thank you for your questions and attention. I'll be around here a little bit if anybody has any other individual questions.